Hello everybody, welcome to this instruction video. In this video I'd like to show you how to make the Ammonite hook roll. This is designed by Deirdre Ice from Look at What I Made. To show you the hook roll, if I open this up, you'll see that it has a beautiful ammonite closing. That's what gives it its name. And if I open it up, you'll see on the inside room for 12 crochet hooks. So to make this, you of course need the pattern. You can find that on Deirdre's blog, lookatwhatimade.net. But you'll also need a 4mm crochet hook. For the video, I'm using Scheepjes stone-washed yarn. And you'll also notice that I've got these glass beads here as a decorative edge. And I'm using 6mm glass beads in a pinkish color that also matches the yarn that I'm using. And let me just close this up again so you can really see how nicely it looks. I'll take you step by step through making one of these. I hope it's a useful video for you, and thank you for watching. Just going to start my ball of yarn, just pull off that tag and make a slip knot to put on my hook. And there we go, we're ready to go. We're going to make 102 chain stitches. At number 51, very important, we're going to mark that one with a stitch marker. So I've got a few stitch markers here. I'm going to mark number 51. So that's chain 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue until you have 51. Then you're going to mark that one. So let's say this was 51. It's now number 4, but let's say it was 51. I'm just going to mark that stitch like there, because the loop that's on your hook is the next stitch. So if you made 51 loops, that is stitch number 51, not the stitch that's on the hook. Continue then and do 51 more. So you're going to make 102 in total. So I've now made 4. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Continue until I have 102 with number 51 marked, and then I'll see you again. I now have 102 chain stitches, and in the middle number 51, that's the one in the middle, is marked. I'm going to come back and in the chain work a double crochet in every stitch, starting from the 4th chain from the hook. So it means these first 3, they are going to form your first double crochet. So this is your turning stitch. Then you go to the 4th and you work a double crochet in there. So 1, 2, 3 you're skipping. This is your turning chain, and then number 4 in that loop there, work the first double. That's 1. And then go to the next, you work 2. You're going to continue and work a double crochet in every stitch until you're to the other side. Important, leave the stitch marker where it is. Well, at a certain point in the pattern will tell you to remove the stitch marker. But until that point, just leave it exactly where it is. And every loop, make a double crochet. See here, continue until you get to, where is it? Here. Row 2. I now have a long string of 100 double crochets, 99 plus the turning chain 3, so that makes 100. And I've got stitch number 51 I've got marked there. For row 2, start with a chain 3 and turn your work. We're now going to fold our work double. You've got, this is the long chain. You're going to fold it double and bring it on top of one another. So you see here, this is your entire work. I've got the bottom of the chains, the double crochets are on top of one another, like so. We're now going to catch stitches. We're going to work a double crochet through the first available stitch here, so not the chain 3, the turning chain, but this first real stitch. We're going to work a double crochet through that and the next double crochet here. If you look at your work, it's going to be through that stitch there, that one there, that's the first, because your chain 3 again counts as your first stitch, so the next available stitch is that stitch there. If you look here at the end, you've got the chain 3 and then the next available stitch, so it's again going to be that stitch there. So through here and there, I can just get my hook on, there we go, work a double crochet. Pick up your yarn over, and first through the tail side of this, because this is actually out end, so that the far side, and then the stitch here. So now I've got 2 stitches on my hook and complete the double crochet. So you've now connected with 1 stitch these 2 ends to one another. On the back portion here, I'm going to work 3 double crochets in the next stitch. So 1, 2, and 3. That gives you 3 double crochets. We're now going to come to the front and skip the next 3 double crochets, which is going to be in line with those 3 there, and then in the 4th stitch work 2 stitches together again, so catch the back and the front stitches together. I'm going to yarn over and then first skip 3 stitches here to the front, so you see that's 1, 2, 3 stitches skip, because that's the last stitch work there, so skip 1, 2, 3, and then come to stitch number 4 and pick up the next stitch here to the back, and then through both of them work a double crochet. You can see how you've now kind of created a little pocket there, and that's the pocket where your hook is going to go in at the end of the day. These 4 stitches, going to repeat this 10 more times. Going to do this 11 times in total, so this was 1, but I'll show you again. The next 3 stitches here to the back work a double crochet. That's the next stitch. That's 1, 2, and 3. 3 double crochets. Now again, going to connect the 2 layers together. So yarn over, skip the next 1, 2, 3 stitches here at the front, go to stitch number 4, that's 1, 2, 3, go to stitch number 4, and pick up the next stitch at the back and work a double crochet. So now you've got 2 pockets, see? I'll show you again. The next stitch, work 1 of 3 double crochets, so that's 1, the next stitch is 2, and the next stitch is 3. 3 double crochets. Again, going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches in the front, and in stitch number 4 connect to the next stitch up here. So that is, I can just fold my work, 1, 2, 3 skips, you see 1, 2, 3, and then go to stitch 4, and that stitch to the next stitch to the back, and complete the double crochet. So I've now done the repeat 3 times with you, and you see now I have 1, 2, 3 little pockets. going to do this 11 times in total, so you need to do quite a few more. And I'll see you here when I've done 10 repeats. Then I'll do repeat 11 with you and show you how to go around the corner. I've done the repeat 10 times, so I've got 10 of these pockets here. If you look at your work from the bottom, you see 10 of those pockets. I've got to do the repeat once more. So the next 3 stitches, I'm going to work a double crochet here to the back. So 1, 2 and 3. Again, count 3 stitches at the front, and the 4th one we work a double crochet and connect it to the stitch here to the back. So I'm going to skip 1, 2, 3 stitches and go to stitch number 4 and pick up the next stitch here to the back and work a double crochet. You've now done the repeat 11 times. You're almost to the fold. You'll notice you'll have 3 stitches, and then stitch number 4 here is on the fold. I'm going to work a double crochet on all 4 of these. To be 1, 2, 3 double crochets. And double crochet number 4 is also going to be the marked stitch. That's the corner, or the fold is maybe a better word. That's double crochet number 4. That's your marked stitch. You've now repeated one side. I'm just going to kind of rotate my work, because we now want to continue and work double crochets in all of those remaining stitches. Another 50 or so, and that's actually going to bring you back to this side, and we're going to work a double crochet in every stitch, also the stitches that already have a double crochet from this side. So I'm just going to try to let you see what I'm doing, because it's kind of all pulling a bit inward, because of course you've connected this. So in the next stitches, it's 1 double crochet, get 2, 3, 4, and now number 5 here already has a stitch in it, so I'm just going to work to the right of that. I'm just going to make it just next to it, do that double crochet, and that means kind of skipping over the stitch that's already in there to go to the next, and then work a double crochet there. Oops, I'm just a little tricky here because I'm trying to keep everything in front of the camera that you can see what I'm doing. So that's again 1, 2, 3 double crochets. This is a 3rd one here, and then again a stitch that already contains a stitch. You see this one already contains a double crochet, so just next to it I'm just going to work another one, and then kind of skip over this to go to the following stitch and work a double crochet in there. I'm going to continue this until I'm to the other side. And then when you're to the other side, remember the starting chain 3 to also work a double crochet in there, because we've skipped that stitch. I'm just going to continue, and I'll just show you that starting chain 3 just to be sure that you don't accidentally miss it. See how you have pockets. If you really look inside, you can already see the pockets for your hooks. So I'm going to continue working a double crochet on every stitch along that edge, and when I get here I'll just show you these last few stitches. So I'm just going to work all of those until I'm here. Almost back to the beginning here. Got a few more double crochets to work. One here in the stitch that already contains a double, and then the next 3 stitches that are empty, they all get a double crochet. Then I've got a stitch here that contains a double crochet already, so I'm going to work in there. And now comes the stitch that you should remember, that turning chain 3. There, you see there's that, if I just open this up, you see that turning chain 3? Remember those. Then I'm just going to insert my hook here in the starting chain loop, the first top of those 3, and that's a little tight, so there we go. There we go. You see those are the turning chain 3, so I'm just inserting my hook in there and work a double crochet. And now you've completed row 2, and I think if you can do this, you can do the rest of the pattern also. On to round 3. For row 3, you have now 100 double crochets all the way around. Going to work a double crochet on each of those, as simple as that. Chain 3, which is your first double crochet. Turn your work. We're now going to work a double crochet on each. So that means, look at where you're at the moment. It's here, so don't worry about that on the other side. You'll get there when you go all the way around. The chain 3 counts as your first double, so that's your first stitch there that you've just made. So you go to the second available option here. You see that first one is with your chain 3. So now you've made 2 stitches because this chain 3 also counts. So it's 2, this is 3, 4, and this time you're going to go all the way around. You work a double crochet on every stitch. And for example, here you see this is where they were connected, but you can easily work on this one here. That side you'll do when you're coming around. It's a double crochet on every stitch. And again, when you get to the beginning, important to also work a double crochet on your turning chain. And that will give you 100 double crochets once more. See, I've now worked these. I'm going to continue. Work a double crochet on every stitch, and here you're going to go around the corner and come back, and then work a double crochet on all of those also. And important, when you get here, your work is going to look like this in front of you. Work that last stitch, and then here's a chain 3. Also on that chain 3, work a double crochet. And then you should have 100 of them again. Row 4 is actually very similar to row 2, in which we made those catching stitches. If you look inside those stitches, this row is very similar. We're in essence going to do the same thing. Chain 3, this is your turning chain. And then I'm just going to turn my work. And we're again going to start by making a double crochet through the first stitch, the first full stitch. So not the turning chain, skip those, the first full stitch and the next stitch here. So it's that one, because the turning chain counts for this first, that second stitch. Again, going to make a double crochet through both of these. Just skipping the chain 3 here, go to the first full stitch, and over here, that one there, because that first stitch is already taken by the chain 3, so go to that second stitch and complete the double crochet. To the back, on the next 3 stitches, work a double crochet. So 1, 2, and 3 double crochets. We're going to skip 3 stitches here to the front, and then in stitch number 4 work a double crochet again between that one and that one, front and back. So skip 1, 2, 3 stitches here in stitch number 4, insert through both loops, and then the next stitch here to the back, and complete the double crochet. Then again 3 stitches to the back side. So that's 1, 2 and 3. Skip 3 stitches in the front, and then stitch number 4. So skip 1, 2, 3 and stitch number 4, and in the next stitch here to the back, and complete the double crochet. So you've now made 2 pockets again, so you can see how you're extending. If I just open this up, you're basically extending the pocket you've already made, so you're just making that larger, or deeper. Deeper is the better word, you're making it deeper. I've now done this repeat twice with you, so that 3 double crochets and then this catching stitch, and then 3 doubles and that catching stitch. I'm going to do this 11 times in total. I'm going to make a jump in the video. When I get over here, I'll just see you again. I'm going to do 8 more, and then I'll see you after repeat number 10. So now you're going to do again 3 double crochets, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then on stitch number 4, catch here with stitch number 4, etc. So do this quite a few more times, and I'll see you over here. I've now done the repeat 10 times, so I've made 10 of these pockets. I need to do it once more. So on the next 3 stitches, on the back at the moment, do 3 double crochets, and then catch a stitch to the front and connect it to the back. Let's skip 1, 2, 3 on the front, then number 4, and the next stitch to the back, and work the double crochet. So I've now done a repeat 11 times. You will again have 3 stitches left, and then here number 4 is the marked position. This kind of makes the fold. So that is on the next stitch. I'm going to work a double crochet on every stitch all the way around until you're here to the front again. This is 2, 3, this is 4. 4 makes the fold, and it's again in line with the marked stitch. I'm going to turn my work because that's easier. We go around the corner, and then work a double crochet on every stitch. When you get to a stitch that already contains one of these folded joining stitches, but you work a double crochet in there also. Got one more to go. There we go. Now the next stitch already contains a stitch. See that stitch there? So I'm just going to work next to it, complete the double. Just jump over it a bit and go to your next stitch and work the double. It's going to have 3 doubles and then a stitch that already contains a stitch, so they'll have to share. You're going to continue until you get to the end, and then just like we did in row 2, we also have to remember the turning chain. So remember that turning chain. So if we just work there, go to the next. There we go. I'm going to continue this until I'm here, and then I'll just show you this turning stitch once more. I'm almost to the beginning again. Still have 1 empty double crochet here to work, or double crochet to work in an empty stitch. Here I've got a stitch that contains that catching stitch. So I'm just going to work a double crochet next to it, and then this is important to remember, this turning chain 3 there. So that chain 3, I'm just going to go into the top of that chain 3. So that turning chain 3, work a double crochet in there. And this then completes row 4. And again, if you do count your stitches, you should have 100 double crochets all the way around. You've now made the first 4 rows, and this is what your work currently looks like. And if you kind of open it up a bit, you see on the inside you see these pockets where your hooks will go in. So you now have, I believe, 12 of these pockets. Perfect, but not big enough yet. What you're now going to do is for rows 5 to 10, repeat rows 3 and 4. So these last 2 rows, repeat them until you've got 10 rows. So next row will be a row of double crochets on every stitch, so you go all the way around. And then you turn and do another row of these catching stitches like we've just done. And at the end of every row you should have 100 double crochets, so you can keep on counting and just double check that your stitch count is still correct. So this is where you are at the moment. We've got row 4. I'm going to make a jump in the video, so repeat rows 3 and 4 until you have 10 rows, and then your work will be, I don't know, up here somewhere. So I'm just going to make a jump in the video, then I'll see you again for row 11. Before we continue, this is the point where we are right now. We need to cut our yarn and at about a length of 4 meters. So I've just roughly measured out 4 meters here. Now this is an approximation, but this is about 4 meters of yarn that I've got here. And then on the yarn we're going to thread beads. I'm going to use a regular needle. If you do happen to have a bead needle, as they call it, I'm just going to cut this off a bit more straight. If you do happen to have a bead needle, that does actually work easier, but a regular needle, as long as your eye isn't too large, also works. And then we're going to thread the beads onto the yarn. And you're going to thread 12 beads. 12 beads. You've got 24 in total. You're going to thread 12 beads onto your yarn. I have 8mm beads. The pattern calls for 6, but I don't have 6mm, and I thought, oh well, 8mm will do fine also. And I'm using black beads because they really contrast very nicely onto the fabric here. If you want, you can also use beads that match your fabric, the color of your yarn, so just whatever you like. So I'm just quickly going to thread all these beads on here and then move them along until they are roughly here at your working edge, because you're going to be taking 1 bead at a time. So bring all these beads to the working point. So you've got to just thread through all of this. I'm going to thread 12 beads on, and then when I'm finished I'll see you again. Row 12A. This row we're going to be using the beads that we just thread on, so I forgot about them here on my yarn. I'm going to take them one by one. I'm going to start with a chain 1. Chain 1, then turn your work. We're going to continue in the single crochets that we made in round 11A. So we're not going to continue here on these stitches, but here on these single crochets that we made in row 11. I'm going to slip stitch in the first stitch. So you see there's the first stitch. Just open that up. That's the first one there. Just going to slip stitch in there. Now I'm going to make a small repeat, in which we're going to be using 1 bead in every repeat. Start in the next stitch with a single crochet, a double crochet in the next stitch, and now bring 1 bead to your hook. So you've got this whole string, bring 1 bead to your hook, to where you're currently working. So you really want this bead to be close to your work. Then chain 1, and with this chain 1 you're going to actually fasten that bead. So I'm going to do this chain 1 as small as I can. In the next stitch, a double crochet, followed by a single crochet. And now you've got a flower petal, which you have a single crochet, a double crochet, a chain one space. In that chain one space you've got the bead on top, double crochet, single crochet. This you're going to repeat until you're to the other side, so that's 12 times in total, so 11 more times. I'll show you again. Next stitch is single crochet, followed by a double crochet, bring a bead to your hook, chain one, a double crochet in the next stitch, there we go, and a single crochet. So now I have to repeat 2 times. I'm going to do a few more, and then at the end I'll just show you the last repeat again and how to finish. I'll show you the repeat one more time and then I'll make a jump in the video. So I need 1 bead, so I've got this one more or less in the vicinity. Single crochet, followed by a double crochet on the next stitch. Bring the bead to where you're at, chain one, a double crochet, and in the single crochet. Now done the repeat 3 times, continue until you're here, and then I'll just see you for the last repeat. I've got one more repeat to do, and you might just wonder, didn't she have black beads just a moment ago? Yes, she did. I've taken out the black beads because I just remembered I had pink beads, so I've replaced the black ones with pink ones, and these pink ones are actually 6mm beads, so I've just happened to have pink 6mm beads that actually go perfectly with the yarn, and that is pure coincidence. I need to repeat this, finish the repeat one more time. Single crochet on the next stitch, followed by a double crochet, a chain one, so I'm going to bring that last bead to my hook, and then chain one, so really catch that bead tight, then a double crochet, and a single crochet. At this point you have 1 stitch left. That last stitch, make a slip stitch. I've been rolling these beads inward to kind of push them into the flower petals that we've made, but you can also leave them out, it doesn't matter, because the other side is actually the front of your work, so you can do either way. You can also push them out. And I've got about 20 centimeters of yarn left, so I'm just going to pull that through, and you can work away this yarn tail. We're now going to work row 11B. I've got a slip knot on my hook, and we're going to start in the stitch that we marked with when we were doing round 11, the first half, those single crochets. We've marked a stitch. Going to work a double crochet in that marked stitch and all the other stitches you've got here. So that beaded edge, we're going to leave that and going to work behind it. I'm just going to remove this stitch marker, and in that first stitch make a standing double crochet. That means I've got a yarn over on my hook, and in that stitch complete the double crochet. And complete it completely. There you go. In the next stitch work a double crochet until you get to the end. That will be 49 double crochet, so 1 on every stitch. And I'm going to repeat this. Work a double crochet on every stitch. You can see there's the standing stitch. Work a double crochet on every stitch until you get here. Row 12B, you've just worked double crochets in round 11. Your last one, remember, is here on the turning chain 3, so that's double crochet number 50. Now for row 12, we're going to in essence do the same. It's chain 3. This is your first double crochet. Turn. You now have the front of your work facing, so with beads facing. You've got an even row now, row 12, and that's with the beads facing. I'm going to work a double crochet on every stitch until I get here to the standing stitch. So on these 50 stitches here to the back, I'm going to work a double crochet on each. Now the chain 3 counts as the first one, so that's that stitch there. It's the first one, so I move to the second and make a double crochet in that stitch. And in the next, I'm just going to have to roll those beads a little forward that you can just get into the stitches properly. And do 50 double crochets. So chain 3 is the first one, so you're going to have 49 more after that, so it's 49 plus 1. So I'm doing double crochet on every stitch. Repeat this until you get here, and your last one will be on that standing stitch there, on that last stitch. Then you've got 50 double crochets. So after row 12, this is where you're at the moment. You've now got a row of double crochet stitches here to the back. They're just slightly higher than your row of petals that you've made here to the front. We're going to repeat row 12B, so that's those row of double crochets, until you've got row 19. So next you're going to work row 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So you're going to work 7 more rows of double crochets, and then that will bring you somewhere here. Then you're going to have a nice flap on your hook roll. So continue with row 12B until you've got 19 rows. That will bring you here. Row 20. You now have the front of your work facing, so you've done all these rows of double crochets until that was row 19 we just did. We're now doing 20, and you're going to have the front of your work facing, so you'll have the beads showing, and we're going to work a front post double crochet on each stitch until we're to this side here. So we're going to start the flap now that folds over your work, over the crochet hooks that you're going to have in here. To start with the chain 2. This chain 2 does not count as a stitch. 1, 2. This is just to get you to the correct working height. It does not count as a stitch. So a front post double crochet on every stitch. Yarn over, front post, that's front to back, around the post, pick up and complete the double. And the second one. Front post double crochet on each stitch. That's going to give you 50 of these in total, and that last one will of course be around a chain 3, around your turning chain 3. I'm going to continue for the rest of this row and make a front post double crochet on each stitch until you get here on this side. You're going to do your last one around that turning chain. For rows 21 to 23, you're going to repeat row 12B. Now row 12B was these rows of double crochets that you've just made. You're going to do that again. So in these you've got these row of front post stitches here. In those front post stitches, continue and make 3 more rows of double crochets. That means you're going to extend this. You've got this little ridge here now. You're going to extend that further with 3 more rows of double crochets. So repeat 1 double crochet in every stitch for 3 rows, for rows 21, 22 and 23. 3 more rows. Start with a chain 3, then a double crochet on every stitch, and then turn and come back and do 3 of these rows. After you've done the rows 21, 22, 23, this is what your work looks like. You've got this flap here with the ridge there at the back, which we made the front post stitches on, and then we've done 3 more rows of double crochet. So this is what your work currently looks like. For row 24, I'm going to do the same as row 12A, I believe, and that means you can cut about 4 meters of yarn and thread 12 beads, in this case 6mm glass beads in a pinkish color to match the yarn onto your yarn. So thread 12 6mm beads on your yarn, and then we're going to repeat what we did here, where we also made these petals and connected the beads. So we're going to do that again, but I'll just show you how to do that once more. So repeating row 12A, do chain 1. This is not a stitch. Then in the first stitch, the very first one there, make a slip stitch. And now we're going to do that little petal again. So in the next stitch, do a single crochet, followed by a half double on the next, a double crochet on the next, and just complete that double crochet. Now we're going to do a chain 1, but first bring the bead to where you're currently working, and I'm really going to pull this tight and make that chain 1, but the purpose really is here to get that bead as secure as possible, and that means making that chain 1 as tight as possible. The next stitch, a double crochet, and the stitch after is a single crochet. And then I like to just pop this bead in there, in that little hole. So there's the bead. So you can see it there. If you now fold this, the ridge is on the, if you like this, if you fold it inward, you now see that little bead sitting there. I'll show the repeat to you again. So I'm just going to bring one bead just a little bit to where I'm at. It's a single crochet on the next stitch, followed by a double crochet, bring the bead forward to as tight as you can, a chain 1, locking that bead into place, and then again a double crochet and a single crochet. Now done the repeat 2 times with you. I'm going to do a few more, so to really complete this edge. You can see there I've done 2. Do a few more along this edge, and I'll just see you here for the last repeat. Almost to the end. I've got one more repeat to do. Single crochet, followed by a double crochet, bring your bead forward to your hook, chain 1, securing the bead, double crochet and a single crochet. At this point you have the turning chain 3 left, and that turning chain 3 I'm going to do a slip stitch. And that completes this row. I've got actually quite a lot of yarn left. I had a bit more than 4 meters. So I'm going to cut and then pull my last bit through. And now we're ready to do the edge of the hook roll. Just look at where we are at the moment. This is where we are at the moment. You can see we've just made this top cover here with the beads there. We're now going to work the edges. First I'm going to just work away this yarn tail. There's the other yarn. I also got some yarn tails to the back here where I joined a new ball. So I'm just going to work away the yarn tails, and then we're ready to start the join or the edge of the hook roll. And we're actually going to be doing that by starting in the marked stitch here at the bottom. I'm just going to work away my yarn tails, and then we're going to start in this marked stitch. We're going to start here at the bottom in the marked stitch. What we're going to do is we're going to work these 2 layers together. So through through the foundation chain on both sides we're going to work 50 single crochets, so joining these two layers together, because otherwise your hooks are going to fall out at the bottom, so that's why you need to do that. So with the yarn on your hook, you have to start with a standing single crochet, and we're going to make that through the marked stitch and the stitch that's immediately adjacent to it, just kind of facing it. So we're going to work in this direction, making 50 single crochets. And I'm just quickly going to remove that because otherwise I can't get my hook in here. So it was that stitch there and the stitch adjacent to it there and there. So you've got two layers that you're working through, and make a single crochet. And also for the next stitch, and let me just double check, yes, this is the next stitch and the next one there. No, that's not the next one. This can be a little hard to see because you don't usually work, there we go, through foundation chains from the bottom again. And then this is 2. And then 3. So there's the third one. And the next one. This is 3. Continue until you have 50 of these stitches. So in other words, join them up one by one, just going through both layers each stitch. And when you get here, you're going to have number 50 will be through the chain 3 on this side and that last stitch there on that side. So go all the way here, and I'll see you here just to go around the corner. I'm almost to the end of the bottom edge here. You see, that's where we started. So I've worked single crochets all the way. I've got one stitch left. That's the chain 3 here, and there's a the double crochet there to the back. So just through the chain 3 and the next stitch, work a single. We can now rotate our work, and now we're going to join this edge here on the first 10 rows only. So that means I'm going to stop here at the flap, basically. Because this flap started with around row 11, so until that point we're going to work single crochets also. Chain 1. And then in the same stitch where we just worked that single crochet, work another one. So in that corner there. And it's my hook is snagging somewhere. There we go. Another single crochet. So now I've got a nice crisp corner. Going to work 2 single crochets for each row. And we're going to work them through the first stitch, so it's either the chain 3 space or the double crochet, kind of depending on which row we're at. So, and work 2 single crochets on each row. So the first row here, so through this case a chain 3 and the next stitch, so kind of just embracing the posts of those stitches. It's 1 and 2. Then go to the next row, which is this one here, and the chain 3 to the back. So I'm really going around the posts and around the chain 3. I'm going to work 2 double crochets per row. So I've now done the first 2 rows, which means I've done 4 stitches. Here's the third row, so now I've got a chain 3 and that next double crochet there. And this is not an exact science, so don't worry if you've got your stitch one more, just a little bit more to the left or to the right. I'm going to continue and work 2 single crochets on each row until I'm here, and then you can fasten off. When you've completed your edge, you've done 10 rows, work away your last yarn tail. So you see here 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. So you've done 10 rows of these. work away your last yarn tail, and then you're ready to make the closing, the ammonite closing, which is this. And I'll show you how to make this also. Round 1 for the ammonite closing. I'm going to start with the magic ring. I have my yarn, cross over, pick up again, and pull through. This is my magic ring. Let me just there. Going to do a chain 1. This is not a stitch, this is just to get you to a nice working height. And then a half double in the ring, followed by 11 double crochets. So it's 1 half double and 11 double crochets. And then we do not close with a slip stitch. You're going to continue working in a spiral, so we're just going to go round and round and round. So that was the half double, and then that's 1, 2, 3, 4 doubles. Need a few more to get to 11. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. 11 double crochets. I'm just going to pull the ring closed. There we go. And pull a bit harder. There you go. So that completes round 1. And very important now, if I just get my yarn untangled, we're going to just continue on the first stitch. So that first half double, that's that stitch there. Going to just continue working on that stitch in round 2. So for round 2, in that half double, work 2 double crochets in there, in that first stitch, 2 half doubles. Sorry, 2 double crochets in the half double. Sometimes I also have my wires crossed. There we go. 2 doubles in that first half double. I'm just going to mark the start of this round. The reason why I'm doing that is that it's sometimes hard to see where one round starts. If I can just get my tin open. Where one round starts and the other round finishes. So this stitch here, I'm just going to mark that. So that first double crochet of those 2, I'm just going to mark that there and know this is the starting point of round 3, because this will be the first stitch of round 2. So then I don't accidentally go too far. Because on the next 11 stitches, which are still part of round 1, I'm going to do 2 back post double crochets on each of those. Yarn over. The next stitch is this one here. Back post double crochet around that. And you want 2, so the next one is going to kind of stack below it. Stack 2 stitches on that one position there. 2 back post double crochets. And also on the next stitch, that one, 2 back post double crochets. I'm just going to stack the second one kind of below the first one. And this is still a bit small and all a bit fiddly, and I appreciate that, so just take your time on this. There we go. Now I've done 2 on this stitch and 2 on the first stitch, so I've now done 4 back post double crochets. I'm just going to continue until I get to that last stitch. It's going to be that stitch over there. That's going to be my last back post double crochet of round 2. So make 2 back post doubles on each stitch. Then when you get here, you stop, because then we start round 3. Round 3. See, I've just stopped before the marked stitch. So the marked stitch is the beginning of round 3, because I know that's the first stitch of round 2. I'm just going to remove the stitch marker and insert it into my first stitch of round 3. Then I know again where round 3 starts. I'm going to start by making 2 back post double crochets around the first stitch. First stitch. This is a double crochet, that first stitch. So I'm going to make 2 back post doubles around it. There you go. And I'm just going to put my stitch marker back, because that's then the start of round 3. So in that first of those 2 stitches. On the next stitch, which is still your last, which is that second double crochet, work only 1 back post double there. There you go. So it's 2 on the first and 1 on the second. I'm going to do this once more. So on the next stitch, work 2 back post doubles. So 1 and 2, and that second one is kind of requires you to just kind of turn your work and roll it all around a little bit. It's 2 on that first and then 1 on the second. There we go. On the next stitches we're going to work trebles. We're going to work back post trebles, 2 and then 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1, all the way around until we're at the end of round 3 stitches, so making round at the end of the stitches from round 2, that finishes round 3. So we're going to work 2 back post trebles on the next stitch. That's twice over. Then the next stitch is that one there. Just really look at your work and see where your next stitches are. Again, twice over and around the same stitch. And this is just a little tricky. There we go. 1, 2, 3. So I've now done 2 trebles around that first stitch. So now I go to the second one, which is that one there. I work 1 treble around that stitch. So this is what you've just done, the 2 trebles on one stitch and 1 treble on the next. Going to do this all the way around to the marked stitch. I'll just show you once more. On the next stitch, twice over. And let me just find the next stitch, because this is a little small and a little full here, but just look at your work and you'll be fine. And twice over again. And there we go. And then so that's 2 on the one, and then on the next one again just 1. So I'm going to continue this until here, and then I'll see you for round 4. Round 4, last round of the Ammonite. I'm currently in the stitch before the marked stitch. So that's how I know that I'm at the end of round 3. So for round 4, I'm just going to remove the marked stitch. I'm going to make a back post double treble on the next stitch. So 2 back post double trebles followed by 1 back post double treble. So a double treble is yarn over 3 times. So that's 1, 2, 3 times yarn over. Then in the next stitch, there's that one there, and 1, 2, 3, 4 times take it off. Again, 1, 2, 3 times yarn over, then around the same stitch, make another one, and again 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 back post double trebles on the first stitch. I'm just going to mark the first of those 2 again as the starting point of round 4. And on the next stitch, which is that one there, make 1 back post double treble. So it's 1, 2, 3 times over. Around the next stitch, grab your yarn. And to keep this top loop small, I'm really just keeping my finger on that loop, so just to make sure that it doesn't open up while you're doing the yarn overs and taking them off. There we go. So that's a way to just keep that top loop small, so just keep your finger on the loop. So I've now done this once. You're going to do this 7 times in total. That will not bring you all the way around, by the way, it'll bring you here somewhere. So again, on the next stitch, 2 double trebles and then 1 double treble, and then 2 double and then 1 double treble. So I've now done it once. I'm going to do 6 more times. I'll show you once more. 3 times over. Next stitch, which is this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 times over and around the same stitch. Grab your yarn, and again 1, 2, 3, and 4. The next stitch, going to do one of these, so twice, so 3 times over, and then 1. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. I've now done the repeat 2 times. Do 5 more, and then I'll see you for the last stitches. Now done the repeat 7 times. Started from the stitch, done it 7 times. You're about halfway now. We're going to continue the rhythm of the repeat, but we're going to be increasing the length of our stitches. On the next stitch, you're going to do 2 back post triple trebles, so that'll be yarn over 4 times, and then a yarn over 4 times on one stitch. So it's 2 and 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 1. So it's the same rhythm as we had here, but your stitches are longer. So on the next stitch, we're going to make 2 of these triple trebles. So it's 4 times yarn over. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4 times yarn over. Then on the next stitch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see, I held my finger on there, and you can see that that loop is reasonably small. And again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and around the same stitch, and take off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Those were 2 of these triple trebles in one stitch. Then on the next stitch, work 1 again. So 1, 2, 3, 4 times yarn over. Around the next stitch, work a back post, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. Now this, do 2 more times. You need to do this 3 times in total. So these back post triple trebles, so the 4 times yarn over, done 2 plus 1, do 2 plus 1, 2 plus 1. So do 2 more, and I'll see you for the last few stitches. For the last few stitches, you're really going to have to keep track of how many yarn overs you're doing. We're now going to do 3 stitches with the quadruple treble. It'll be yarn over 5 times. But now we're only working 1 on each stitch. We're going to yarn over 5 times, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. On the next stitch, work a back post. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 times take off. Now do the same on the next stitch, so 1, 2, 3, 5 times yarn over. On the next stitch, do a back post, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times take off your loops, and one last time, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times yarn over, and on the next stitch. So now it's only 1 on each stitch. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. There we go. So those were 3 back post quadruple triple. I believe I said that right. On the next stitches, 3 stitches now doing a stitch with 6 times yarn over, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce this because it's probably going to be wrong. 6 times yarn over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times yarn over. Then on the next stitch, work a back post. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times, taking off the loops. And here you saw my loop just opening up a little bit. I think at a certain point this is just almost impossible to prevent. But you can really see how your ammonite is growing. Again, so 6 times yarn over. So we're going to do 3 of these again. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times yarn over. And around the next stitch to work a back post. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. And one last time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times yarn over. The next stitch, pick up a loop. You can see how I'm really guiding these stitches with both my hands, also taking over and yarn over and taking off the loops, because you just don't, that's to help and to prevent stitches from opening up too much. Okay, so those were 3 times with 6 times yarn over, and now we need to do the next one with 7 times yarn over. And this is only once. So 7 times yarn over. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times yarn over. On the next stitch, work the back post, and then take off 2 loops at a time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. There we go. And then now you've completed the stitches for row 4. We're going to come back with a crab stitch, but just to look at a moment of where you are, you have not come back to the marked stitch, so you're not all the way around. That's correct. This is kind of your straight edge that's going to form the closing of the hook roll. So you can see this is kind of a bit of a straight edge. So I'm just going to leave this stitch in here for the moment, and now we're going to come back and finish it off with crab stitches. We're going to finish the ammonite by working crab stitches. That means we're going to work single crochets but backwards. We're going to work them in the opposite direction to where we normally work from. Chain 1, and then kind of roll your hook back into this previous stitch. Pick up your yarn, rolling that stitch over, complete the single crochet. And the next stitch. So you're going to go backwards, twisting my hook, rolling the stitch over, and make a single crochet. Roll over and complete the single. So this is a single crochet, but kind of worked backwards, so rolling your stitches over. And you are going to continue this until you're right in the center of the ammonite. And you'll get the hang of this after you've done this a few times. It's just a bit of practice. And roll over and do the single. And you can see how you're now getting a very nice little edge on that ammonite. See this rolled over edge. So I'm going to continue with this edge, and you're going to go here and then work inward. And here at the middle it's going to be a little tricky because it's all going to be a little close together, but you're going to continue until you're right at the start. You can cut your yarn, open up by pulling through, and then work away those tails. When you've completed your ammonite. This is what it looks like. Work away all your yarn tails. Let's get to the back and really take care to do that very well, because that invisible or the magic ring sometimes comes undone. So really join that in a lot, like tie it down well. And now you're ready to join this to the rest of your hook roll. When you've finished the ammonite, we're going to connect it to the hook roll. We're going to do that on the right hand side, so like this. If you're left-handed, on the left hand side. So right-handed side, and we're going to be working in the crab stitch, this long treble post here, and then a few crab stitches there. And we're going to do this by hand actually, so I've got a needle and I've got the yarn on my needle, and we're going to sew this on by hand. And I'll just show you a few stitches how to do this. And it's not an exact science. If it's a little lower or a little higher, or if you catch just a slightly different loop, it's not the end of the world. It's not an exact science. It's about getting this thing connected to the hook roll. I'm going to connect the first stitches. If you look here at the ammonite, and if you look at the crab stitches we've made, these are the crab stitches, and here to the back, there's a little loop there. I'm just going to use that loop. You can also take both if you want, it's not a crisis either way. I'm going to connect that to my stitches here, and then you've got all these yarn overs, so all those loops I'm going to use to connect to here, and then when you're finished here, take another 6 crab stitches and again the back loops. So you see there's a loop, and there's a loop, and there's a loop. And it doesn't matter exactly which loop you take. If you have if you're here and you're going to start at this stitch or you start at that stitch, it's not crisis either way. So I'm going to do is I'm going to work first this stitch, then all of these, and then take another 6 here and just connect them there with your needle. We've got the closing, the ammonite connected. Still got a yarn tail here, I'll work that away in a moment. To close you need a button. And what we're going to do is just going to fold the hook roll into 3 parts, like so. And then the closing will come like this, and will close, the button will come through one of these holes here. And just kind of look where you want that button to be. I want it to be about here where my finger's at. There. I'm just going to mark that with a pin, and then you can just sew the button on for the closing. And when you've added the button, here it is, you're all done. Your hook roll is finished. At this point you can insert your crochet hooks, cover them with a flap so that they don't damage. So you can see you can have a different lengths of hooks, they'll all fit in nicely. And then roll up and close. I've got the wrong way around. And then close through the posts of the ammonite. And that completes your hook roll. I want to thank you for watching. I hope it was a useful video for you, and see you again next time.